It's time for the Northwoods Cooking Show. Starring Uncle Roy and Miss Callie, the troublemaking dog.
Hello, and welcome to the Northwoods Cooking Show. I'm your host, Uncle Roy, and my lovely assistant, the one and only, Miss Callie Allies. Come here, Callies, come here, come here. Get around here, come here. Oh, say hello, come here. Oh, you got tweet. Here's a treat. Oh, yeah. Quench. Oh, he's got those dead, wake up in the morning, sand in the eyes. Look. She can get these eye drops. And her master has been putting them in her eyes, and this is the eyeball, and then the stuff dries around the eye, and you get all this white crusty stuff. She looks like one of the little drunken fools in the morning, all the crusties. Oh, I wish I went out. Poor little thing. Oh. Anyway, in today's episode, we're going to be doing an Italian style episode today. And we're going to start out with making our famous meatballs that everybody loves. And for this, it's very, very easy. And what we're going to do is just make up meatballs. And then I'm going to do a couple of recipes using the meatballs. So you can take your meatballs and put them into Ziploc freezer bags and freeze them. And then you can use them anytime you want to, whenever you want to make a recipe. You don't have to make them all at once. And what I have here is about 2 1/3 pounds of ground beef. We'll put that in there. And to this, what I'm going to be adding is sanitize. There's another thing too, you want to make sure that it's important to wash and sanitize your hands when you're handling raw meat so you don't get sick. But for this now, we're going to be adding oatmeal. I love oatmeal and making meatballs and meatloaf. You can use this exact same recipe to make a meatloaf out of it too if you want to. And I do a lot of this stuff I do is just by freehand, so I'm going to have to take and try and measure and see what I got here. I don't know, because I do a lot of cooking just by freehand, by sight. And I know by sight rather than by measurement. So I'm going to do a cup here and see what it looks like. Ooh, that's just about right. About a cup of, I can always add more later. You cannot take it out. Remember that whenever you're cooking and baking, you can always add more to it, but you can't take it out once you put it in. So for like about a 2 1/3 pounds of hamburger, now we've got 1 cup of oatmeal. I want to put in 2 eggs. And I think I might even put in more than that. Because the egg and the meat is going to get moisture, and that's going to bind that oatmeal together. And the oatmeal is this is the quick oats too. Make sure it's the quick oats, because as it gets moist, it'll expand and absorb more of your meat and other spices and flavors, so that it all holds together. And we're going to be needing Worcestershire sauce. And I put in, about a tablespoon. And Italian seasonings. For that amount, I'm going to put in about a tablespoon. And garlic powder. Gotta have garlic in there. I love garlic. And you can put in as much or as little as you want. I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of garlic also. And then salt. Of course, the kosher salt. And I'm going to sprinkle in about a teaspoon. Like I said before, I don't like to use too much salt in foods because everything that's processed, everything you cook with, has salt in it as a preservative. So I try to stay away from salt if I can. But if I do use it, I'll put in the kosher because it has less sodium in it. And pepper, I'm gonna put in about a teaspoon. And then we'll just mix this up and put this on low. You don't want it flying all over the place. Now some people, when making a meatloaf, you might want to dice up some celery and onion, but I would dice it up real tiny, not big chunks, because remember, celery and onion is made up of water. And when you put those big chunks in your meatloaf, and then you go to press it in your pan, oh, it looks fine and dandy, and then you go to bake it, take your meatloaf out and it crumbles and it falls apart. It's because there's too much moisture in there. You had too much celery and too much fresh onion. The celery and onion has lots of water, and that'll break down in your meatloaf, and that's what makes it fall apart and all crumbly on you. So you want a firm, not dry, but you want a firm meatloaf, meat texture. And that's what we're doing here. When I make my meatloaf, like I said, I can use the same recipe. I don't put celery and onion in mine. I had to do it at one restaurant, and I just hated doing that. Oh, I just hated it. Because it came out so soft, but I didn't know anything. But that is fine. Or you need more binder. Well, it's like you don't need more binder. Just get rid of the celery and onion. You can always use celery salt or onion powder. You don't have to put in the vegetable itself. I know Mom and Grandma used to do that all the time. And you wonder why it came out crumbly and broke apart when they just went to serve it? Hello? Anyway. This is our meatloaf now. And I didn't need another egg because this moisture is nice. It's not dry. It's still moist, but it's not excessively moist. And that's the big problem, too much moisture. And now we're just gonna take my sheet pan. Make sure you have one with the edges on. Now, this is the kind that I don't bake in. Well, I'm not baking it like a cake in there, but I do need one with edges to hold the grease in. If you have the flat one, your grease is gonna, spill out inside your oven. So you want one with the edges on. Also put in a piece of parchment paper. That'll keep it from sticking to the pan. You could spray it if you want to, but then you're gonna brown up a little too much, too soon. You want the meatball to be evenly browned, or try to anyway. And I just take and use my cookie scooper. These make perfect meatball. It doesn't make the meatball perfect, it gives you the perfect portion. So that when you roll it, then they're all the same size. And then they look like they're perfect. And we just continue on doing this until we get all of our meatballs rolled up. And we're gonna take and bake this in a 350-degree oven, which I have preheating right now. And we'll bake these approximately 20 minutes or until they're done. And that should do it. I can take and continue on rolling these up, and we'll get right back to you. Hello, welcome back. Now we got our meatballs all done. And they took about 25 minutes to cook all together. Now it also depends on if you make them a larger or smaller. That's why the time variations are on making meatballs. It could be anywhere from 20, 25, 30 minutes, depending on the size. But for the small ones that we had using our little cookie scooper, turned out just lovely meatballs. And it only took like 25 minutes. Now, I had a lot of meatballs left over, when I make that batch. And so you just put them in a freezer bag, and you can freeze these. And you can use them for anything. There's just tons of recipes that we can make out of meatballs. And what we're gonna do next is we're gonna have our classic spaghetti and meatballs. Now everybody knows how to make spaghetti and meatballs. Well, that's the chore, is making the meatballs first. And we already got that taken care of. So you just pull these out of the freezer, zap them in your microwave for a minute or two, just to semi-thaw them out, and then throw them into your sauce when you're ready. So that's what we're gonna do. These are already thawed out, and we're gonna take and just make our sauce. Now, well, how do you make your sauce? Well, I can make it from scratch. But in today's society, we don't have the time. So I just have a can of spaghetti sauce. Now, everybody wants to know what kind to get. You can get any kind you want to. That's up to your own preference. This happens to be a Roundy's just because it's least expensive. But you can get the Chef Boyardee, whatever. The canned spaghetti sauce is so much cheaper than getting in the jar. Everybody wants to get the glass jar so they can see what it looks like. If you get the can, you're going to save yourself about 1/3 of the price, maybe even 2/3 of the price. It is so much cheaper to get it in the can, and it tastes just exactly the same as everybody else's. Now, the secret is to how you doctor it up. So for my sauce, I'm going to take and put in, well, this is already cooked, so all you have to do is heat up everything. But what we're going to do is, while that is simmering, to heat up in another pan, I'm going to take and saute my vegetables. And for this, all we need is just a little bit of olive oil or a little bit of vegetable oil on the bottom of your pan. We just don't want everything to stick. Callie, what are you doing? She's opening up the blinds, wants to go outside. You were just outside. In and out, in and out, in and out. You're worse than a kid. Yeah, you are. You're worse than a kid. So we're going to take and saute. I want to put in about, well, garlic is what I'm going to put in. You can put in as much or as little as you want to, you know, depending on your flavor. But I'm going to put in like about a tablespoon. So I'm going to take and saute that down so it's nice and soft. And to that, we're going to make a marinara sauce, which just means with vegetables. And I happen to have like a half a green pepper. And we're just going to take and cut this into small pieces. Now you can, you know, make as small or as large chunks as you want, depending upon your preference again. But you want to remember too, you don't want them too big of chunks because you want to get everything able to fit on your fork when you're eating. So you don't want large chunks. So I would go to like about 1/4 inch dice. You don't want it minced either because then it dissipates, you know, when you're cooking it, which means it'll disappear. You can hardly even notice it. And then we'll just put this right in. To our oil and garlic. Now you want to make sure you stir that spaghetti sauce and keep the flame down a little lower on a medium to a simmer. Because if it starts to boil, you're going to get pop, pop, plop. all over the stove. And then the vegetables, you can put an onion in too. I would go like about half an onion. I just happen to be out of onions, so I can't put it in. But I'm just going to wait until these green peppers are nice and tender. And that should only take about 2 to 3 minutes. And my hot water is boiling away here, and that's for the spaghetti. Now the secret in cooking your spaghetti, making sure the water is boiling first. And you can put in as much or as little as you want, depending upon how many people you're feeding. I'm not feeding an army, so I'm not going to make a lot. But what you want to do is break it in half. And that makes it easier to eat with. And the secret to cooking perfect pasta is, I've said this before, when you put it into your boiling water, make sure you stir it immediately that first minute. You want to stir it at least 2 or 3 different times, and that keeps it from sticking. And your pasta will turn out perfect, and it takes approximately 8 minutes. It varies on the thickness and texture of the pasta that you are cooking. Because you want to cook it to al dente, which means firm to the bite. You don't want a mushy one so that it falls apart, and you don't want a hard one either. Now I know a lot of people, when I used to work at Wall Street Deli in downtown Minneapolis, I had a 72-piece gourmet salad bar. That was a hotel pan. 72 pieces, oh Lord, it was a big one. It was huge. And one whole side was vegetables and salads, and the other side was all fresh pasta salads. And then I had a hot potato bar in one end and a hot pasta bar in the other. So I always had to make sure my pasta was cooked perfectly. And it's called al dente, which is firm to the bite. Now I would have some of the kids that work there would complain about how, well, just a suggestion, they would say, isn't your pasta a little too hard, not cooked well enough. And I said, no. I said, it's cooked al dente. It's cooked done perfectly. And they were complaining about it. Now, the regular customers didn't, but the people that worked there did, because they were younger kids, you know, more high school kids and stuff. And I said, well, how does your mother make it? And they would say how they would cook it for about 15, 20 minutes until you throw it up in the ceiling and it sticks. I said, that's overcooked, that's mush. And I said, we don't throw our spaghetti on the ceiling to see if it sticks, to tell you when it's done. That's just a wives' tale. It means it's overcooked. And the garlic and peppers are nice and tender. Turn that one off. And so that's it for our spaghetti sauce. We're all done with that. Now you could also doctor this up even a little more, which I will do, is just using some Italian seasonings. Now again, you'd want to be careful when you put this in because their spaghetti sauces are flavored at the factory. You know, they have their seasonings in there. So you don't want to overdo it because once you put it in too much, you're not going to be able to take it back out. And so I don't have a huge amount of sauce. So I'm going to put in like about a teaspoon. We can be a little not so generous. And I got that garlic in there, so I don't need any more garlic. And that'll be a nice flavor. And we can turn this down because that's all heated. We can just keep that on a low simmer. And again, just come back every time you go near it, stir that pasta. So we'll just let this cook down. And actually, I think we'll take and put our meatballs in the sauce. That way they can heat up and that'll all be done at the same time. And maybe we should do some garlic toast. What do you think, Callie? Like toast? I know she loves toast. She loves bread. Any kind of bread. She loves bread. Why is that, Callie? Why do you like bread? Why? Why, Callie? Why? She's getting smarter now as she's getting older. When she was a puppy, she used to just cling to my heels when I was cooking. Anything I touched, she had to get her nose up there. What is it? Now she lays back and naps until everything's all done. Then she'll come up to me when the product's all done. She's getting smarter. She's like, I'm not waiting. Look, I can't get anything. Ain't that right, Callie? Oh, look at you. Oh, it happens in the doorway. So we'll just wait for that, and then we'll make some garlic toast to go with it. Well, now our pasta is done, and we're just going to throw this in the colander. Drain that off. And with your pasta, depending on what you're making it for, if you're going to have the spaghetti like we're doing, or you're making a hot dish, you want to rinse this off with hot water. And by rinsing off with hot water, of course, it's going to keep it hot. And a lot of people don't rinse, but you have to rinse off your pasta. So if you want to keep it hot, just rinse it with hot water. If you're going to be making a cold pasta salad, you just rinse with cold water. But you want to rinse off your pasta so you get rid of that excess starch. That's also what makes your pasta stick together, is having that liquid starch from the pasta still on your pasta. So that when you put it in your bowl, when you put it on your plate, that starch, liquid starch on the outside of all your pasta it's all together and it's starting to cool. It's like glue. And so that's what makes your pasta stick together. So you want to rinse off all that excess liquidy starch that's on your pasta. So rinse it off with hot water if you're going to serve hot pasta. If you're going to serve cold pasta, like in a pasta salad, macaroni salad, rinse it in cold water. But you want to make sure you rinse your pasta. And, whoop, I want to sanitize. I love you to death, Callie, but you are kind of dirty at times. And we'll just take and dish this up on the plate. Spaghetti fork. And my toast is going. And how do you make garlic toast? Any way you want to. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. There's different ways of making it. You can take, and what I like to do, if it's just for myself and I'm in a hurry, I'll just make regular toast and butter it. And then I'll sprinkle it with garlic powder or granulated garlic. Another way is if I have company and I'm making a larger batch, or for your family too, if you want to. And I'll take the, I'll get the big long loaf of French bread, cut in half lengthways, butter both whole loaves of bread, sprinkle it with my garlic powder, put the two together, and then stick that in the oven to heat up, wrapped in foil to keep it moist so it doesn't dry out and get hard as rock. Or you can take your butter, melt it on the stove, and put in your granulated garlic. If you have the chunkier garlic, you granulate it, or not the granulated, the minced garlic. Granulated comes in the powder. But the minced garlic that I just had in the jar, you can put that in your butter and let that simmer really low, and that garlic will be absorbed into your butter, and that just takes longer, but it works really good. But I just like to, I love garlic toast. Well, actually, I got three slices of toasts here. I'll probably only end up eating like maybe 1.5. Because Big Nose, she likes to eat toasts too. She loves toasts. Yeah. She loves. And then our spaghetti is all done here. The sauces, the nice vegetables in there, the green peppers, the meatballs. Oh, meatballs are just beautiful. Nice and firm. They're not all crumbly and falling apart. Sauce is beautiful. Callie's beautiful. Yeah, it's gonna be a beautiful day. Yeah. And then you can sprinkle that with Parmesan cheese. I don't like Parmesan, personally. I mean, I eat just about anything and everything, but Parmesan cheese, I just don't like the smell of it. It reminds me of, you know what? Ugh. And I can't stand it on my food. It just grosses me out. Let's get a close-up of this wonderful spaghetti dinner. Don't that look good, Callie? Ooh, look at those big meatballs. That's lots of meatballs, yeah. We hope you enjoy this simple recipe for spaghetti and meatballs. I know Callie and I will. Oh, yeah. Well, we hope you enjoyed watching our show today. We had a lot of fun doing it. It was our meatball extravaganza. Ooh. And if you have any questions for Callie or I, if you need copies of the recipe, just write us at the Northwoods Cooking Show at yahoo.com, and we'd be more than happy to email you back the recipes. We got recipes from all of our episodes. We're also, to remind you that we're also on YouTube and Facebook. Just go to YouTube, and at the top of the box in search, you can type in the Northwoods Cooking Show. Same way with Facebook, you can just type in the Northwoods Cooking Show. Click on search, and our episodes will pop right up. And we've got lots of episodes from way past. We've been on now for just over a year. So we have lots of recipes from all the different occasions throughout the whole year. And this year we're going to put in more recipes too. So Callie, let's see who wrote us this week. Oh, get over here in position. You know the drill. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and then come back. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. One of our homemade treats. That was the last one we made, the cheesy biscuits. The Christmas time. Yeah. Let's see who wrote us, Callie. Dear Uncle Roy and Miss Callie, I was wondering what is better to use for a cutting board, wood or plastic? Signed, Sarah of Burlington, Washington. Thanks, Sarah. Hello, Burlington. Yay. We got a large fan base out there, a lot of Norwegian people. Ain't that right, Callie? Yeah. Anyway, Sarah, on your cutting boards, it's all a personal preference, but there's a lot of reasons behind each one. For example, I like to use plastic because in the restaurant business, it's easier to sanitize And we have different colored ones for different foods that we cut. For instance, we'll have a red one when we cut meat, a white one when we want to do vegetables, or a green one for vegetables, or a yellow one for a blue one for seafood. I mean, they're color coded for fish. We have different colors for different meats and vegetables. And that's why we use the plastic in the restaurant business, because you're able to sanitize this much easier by throwing them through the dishwasher and the hot heat and the chemicals and the sanitizing. Wood, on the other hand, is nice to cut too, but it's so porous. It will absorb food particles in the wood, like on your cutting boards, or even if you had like a wood butcher block cutting countertop. Juices and meat get into those grooves, and it's hard to sometimes scrub those out in between uses. And you can get cross-contamination, and you can get sick off of that too by having other foods on there and contaminating it. So wood's not always the best to use. It has to be thoroughly cleaned and sanitized in between uses, and that's kind of hard when you use it on a regular basis. The glass and metal ones, or marble, this is a glass one. Chicken, I don't know if you can't see, we got a chicken clock now instead of the birdies. He got that one. But he collects chickens, so we got chickens all around the kitchen. That's why we got a chicken one. But your glass and your marble are good for, like, say, rolling out pie crusts and doughs and cookie doughs and stuff on that. But for cutting, it is terrible. They dull the heck out of your knives. It really is nasty on your knives, and chips and cuts in your blades. So stay away from the marble and glass when cutting. The best thing to do, like I said, would probably be, your best bet overall is your plastic. It's easier to sanitize, and it's good on your knives. It's not going to destroy them. That marble and glass is really chips. It'll put chips in your blade. It's terrible on your knives. So I hope that answers your question, Sarah. And if you guys have any questions for Callie or I on canning or baking or anything in the kitchen or even the garden, because we do gardening too in the summertime, feel free to write us at the Northwoods Cooking Show at yahoo.com, and we'll get back, maybe get your question answer on the air. Callie Alley will get her treat. Oh. You ain't nothing but a hound. So, from Miss Callie and myself, we want to say, eat healthy, be safe, spread the sunshine. Say goodbye, Callie. Oh, drooling's already. Oh.